Hi, live for day 4 of the Money Healing Journaling Initiative. I have no idea who is joining live. I'm going to just check actually to see if anybody commented. No one's commented, so I don't even know if anyone's going to be joining live. So I'm going to just witter away for a few minutes before I get into today's content. And if you are here live, say hello, because it's not always clear. Yesterday somebody said they were on the live but it didn't show up in the stream that they joined, so make sure you try and type something just so that I know you're here. And if you're catching the replay, which I know a lot of you have been catching the replay, and I'm really delighted that you've stayed with it because that's a testament to your commitment, then say you're catching the replay. And remember, it's about also, as you're commenting or asking questions or anything that you're putting into the comments, it does something to Facebook's algorithm. It starts to think, oh, this must be really popular, and it gets it out to other people in the group who may not have been on Facebook for a while or have missed the announcements, don't have notifications coming up from the group. So it's all about kind of doing that. And that's in general, if you've got people that you are inspired by or that your colleagues that you respect and, love their work, even if you're not going to be, even if they're peers and not people that you would necessarily work with, even on a free challenge type of thing, like their posts. It just helps. It's something that I do. I often sit and just like people's posts because it's about giving support, giving love, giving cheer. And in social media, that's one of the ways to do it. And of course, sharing people's posts too, but you can't share directly from this private group because only the members can see what the content is, which is why it keeps it a bit sacred. It keeps it open and it allows us to talk about things that we may not want to talk about, or we may not kind of have clear in ourselves, so we're kind of working through stuff. So we've had a few new members join today, join the group. So welcome if you're catching this live. You have missed anybody catching this that didn't get day 1. Day 1 was taken down yesterday evening. There were all the lives for this particular challenge are being only kept for 48 hours. So day 2 is going to be coming down today. If you haven't caught up with it, it is your chance to catch up with it, because once it's gone, it is gone. And day 3 will be taken down tomorrow, and day 4, day 5, Saturday, Sunday. So it doesn't look like anybody's joining live. This is like my worst. Talking to what I know is not an audience out there yet, but the show goes on because I'm a professional. So we're on day 3 and it's Valentine's Day, so I do have to say happy Valentine's Day. I was having a conversation with, I think, my niece yesterday, trying to say that it's a Saint's Day and we don't even know. And then we realised, we didn't bother Googling it, is it really a Saint Valentine or is it just a hallmark, idea? Because the real spiritual Valentine's Day is first day of spring, the symbolic around then in May. That's actually it's not like the real Valentine's Day. It's a day of love. It's a really special cosmic occurrence at that point, around that time, and in alignment with the moon. So this is obviously a little bit kind of man-made rather than some kind of spiritual day of love, and people have put a lot of meaning into it, and it's fun. I'm not going to take that away, but it's also, it's part of the kind of, whatever. It makes no difference to anyone's lives. I was in my local supermarket yesterday, and the amount of men that were looking so smug with themselves because they had 2 bunches of daffodils, because they're seasonal at the moment here in the UK as well, and extremely beautiful, all the lovely colours that you can get, and a card and a chocolate, and some had champagne, and I couldn't help but snigger on the inside thinking, wow, you do look very smug and proud of yourself, but this is an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing, and that's not me being cynical, but I don't Even at Christmas and birthdays, you know, I may not have a present for somebody because I'll have seen something the month before, or I might see something exactly the day after. You know, if I see something today for somebody, it doesn't matter whether it's their birthday, Easter, Christmas, Valentine's or not. It's always just about, you know, getting that and not being a slave to dates. Somebody has joined, so it doesn't tell me who has joined. So there's something obviously playing up with Facebook Live. So say hello, say hello. I've just been saying Happy Valentine's Day and sharing some of that kind of funniness about it all. But, you know, love isn't a bad thing. And I'm not talking about being loved by somebody else. It's our self-love, which has such a strong relationship with our money. I talked about it yesterday when Angela talked about how she was beginning to appreciate herself more. And Sandy even mentioned something yesterday in the comments, realising actually... Hi Leslie, good that you've joined. So Sandy mentioned something yesterday as well in the comments about in doing the good things, you realise as they're happening, and that's exactly it. You start to live in the moment and your focus and attention begins to shift, because we all, not one of us is immune from this. We all have 1,000 gazillion things that don't work out. Sometimes in a day it can feel like 1,000 gazillion things, or things that we didn't finish or forgot or whatever, you know, didn't feel like we handled well or complete well, or didn't get to the stage we wanted. And that's what we end up focusing on. That's what keeps us up at night. That's what keeps us wanting to write another to-do list. And I love to-do lists. They're part of a manifesting tool, but that's a conversation for another time. So this whole thing is about actually loving yourself enough to allow yourself to have the best, allow yourself to get over the smallness, to allow yourself to get over the stuff where you tell yourself you haven't been enough. That's such a big area for people's money stories being wonky and drama filled and too up and down and down. It's this idea that I'm not good enough, I'm not ready, I'm not worthy enough. Everybody else is better than me, I'm not ready, I'm not good enough, and that cycle just goes on and on and on. And this is like time out. Journaling is time out, and that's why I'm such a fan of journaling in this way, and not just detoxing the I don't feel good enough because and maybe because this happened in my childhood. We can all put everything to a story and to situations and to people, and when that person said this to me, and when my business was really struggling, and when I didn't know what I was doing, and that's why this is still happening, because I'm still hurting from that point. And it's like, well, we're in the here and now. So this type of journaling is about the expansion and the growth and getting over our stuff. The last few years generally have been very fixed on addressing the inner stuff. Somebody else has joined. Do say hello. The last few years energetically have been in the build up to 2012, and since, towards the end of last year, has been about looking at the patterns, really deep ingrained patterns in some cases, and how to resolve them, which has created an illusion that we're broken and we're not enough. And for some people that's aided and abetted the growth of that, which has been part of the illusion. This year, that illusion has been busted energetically. What we do individually is up to us. Just because everything is in alignment for everything to be amazing doesn't mean it will be amazing if we're hell-bent on saying, we're not enough, I'm not amazing, I need to focus on what I haven't done, I need to focus on the fact that this isn't working and I haven't got any money, and I have to keep affirming all of that. Then the energy around you just doesn't impact. If there's an energy opening, it can't impact. And that's my thing about moon stuff that people talk about. It's a full moon, it's a new moon, you have to do this, that and the other. You have to work and cooperate with the energy. If you don't cooperate with the energy doesn't do it for you. There is no bypass. People talk about the word bypass as if being happy and positive and productive is a spiritual bypass. Actually, it isn't. The biggest spiritual bypass is expecting energy to just turn up and do the work for you, while you can sit there going, oh, it's terrible, that didn't work, that client said no, or I can't be bothered to launch that thing anymore because it doesn't feel right, and I'm not sure anybody's going to come anyway, and all that kind of stuff. But the energy is going to make everything all right. And that's the biggest bypass that we need to really look at. And we all have been party to it. You know, I'm not, as I said a couple of sessions ago, certainly not trying to sit here and tell you I'm so perfect, I've got it sussed, everything works, and I never ever think less of me or have to remind myself that that isn't a very kind thought to myself or a good feeling or whatever, or have to work through stuff. It's part of life. You know, we are connected to mass consciousness where this is all bubbling away, so sometimes we even pick up on other people's stuff and imagine it's our own, because you can get so wrapped up in it. And of course, as you allow your awareness and your alertness and your awakeness to all of it to continue expanding, the time between you having that momentary self-critical thought and you resolving that energy gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. And that's what I'm living example of, is that this isn't about me fixing myself anymore, what I may have believed 3 or 4 years ago. This is about my expansion. This is about truly that focus of where I want to be and keeping my energy clean. And I shared yesterday the example of a glass. You take it out of the cupboard. If it was filthy with lipstick things and the last drink stains in it, you know, imagine there'd been like Ribena or wine or something red in it and it hadn't been washed. You would wash it to use it again. You wouldn't want to use it, and you certainly wouldn't want to give it to anybody that was visiting. And you'd wonder how it got into the cupboard that dirty. Yet we let our energy stay filled with our old stories and our old stuff, and we regurgitate it when we're just playing it out and writing it in our journal and playing it out. So this is about that expansion. Now today was going to be, there is definitely an exercise, but there was going to be a Q&A. I haven't had any questions, and I'm just checking. Yet nothing in the questions at all. So maybe the second person here is Janine and she can't say hello. So I'm going to say hello to you if it is you. I haven't had any specific questions about journaling. So I'm going to ask you questions that I want you to answer in the comments. And if you're here live, you can do it live, or if you have to come, you know, if you're watching the replay, let me know and you can answer them in the replay. What are you learning about yourself? What have you learned? That you love journaling? That might be something that you've learned. Actually a lot of good things happen, and that exercise from day one that you're doing every day, I love it. When I don't do it every single day of my life. I go through, you know, phases, either when I'm paralleling something like this, a program, or when I know that it's time for me to, there's a kind of expansion and growth coming, which will always create inner resistance and, you know, questions and doubts, and, you know, less and less. The more you do it, it all gets less and less, but it's a supportive thing. And you realise how many good things happen, and how when you're focusing on that, more and more good things happen. So yesterday, in fact, I shall let you all in on a secret. Yesterday, and it's happened again today, just before I started the live yesterday, literally, like, I checked my email, sat down to put my headphones on, and there was an email from a literary agent who wanted to see more of my work, and it's been with her since about December, so it's quite a kind of slow unfolding process. So I was a bit like, came and did the live yesterday, and then today again, literally as I sit down, and I'm not saying the email comes in at that point, it's just when I get to see it, there's an email from her saying she wants us to now see the full manuscript for something. So it's like, how many more good things? And it's that focus, it's where we put our attention. Things shift. So what have you learned? What are your insights? Perhaps your insights are that you start a commitment and then you break it. You know, that might not feel like the most amazing thing to celebrate, but that awareness means that you can make a decision to change it. So that it's a brilliant, powerful insight. Maybe this is the first time ever or in ages that you've ever journaled in this way. And there's no shame in that, but it's a cause for celebration. So share in the comments how and what it's, you know, what you are learning, what your aha is. So Leslie's shared, and thank you for sharing, that I love journaling and it really helps me to join daily challenges programs. Hopefully absorb the discipline, but right now it's a way to make it happen. Yes, you are absorbing the discipline. And the thing with a lot of this type of work is, and especially the work that I do and people like me do, but particularly, the work I do, so much of it is energy that we don't see it. And we live in a world where we feel like, well, I just wrote something in my journal and did this exercise that so-and-so or Sarupa told me, and nothing's changed. We want immediate gratification, immediate evidence, immediate proof. Otherwise we go back into our doubt because we weren't really trusting it to start off with. And it is, sometimes, it is immediate. Sometimes it's completely immediate. And I'm living proof of it. I have had, it wasn't last week, 2 weeks ago, I was doing something in another group. I was doing a live, which I do every Thursday there in the evenings. And it was something about manifesting. It was about the Manifesting Foundation. So me being me decided I need to implement what I'm going to be sharing, because it gives me my kind of reality check on if I missed out a process, am I getting them in the wrong order or whatever. And I forgot, but I'd written it down. Oh, I've just moved the phone. Sorry if I made you feel seasick there. I put down that I wanted to earn £1,000 that day. I could say 10,000, 100,000. I said 1,000 because that's what I said. I completely forgot about it. Did my live, was tidying up before I went to bed. And, filing away my notes because I keep them because it's all lovely content. And thought, oh, yeah, I'd said that. Didn't think anything of it. Didn't think, oh, it hasn't happened. Didn't drop my energy. We talked a little bit about that yesterday. I didn't, but I didn't get fixed on, oh, when's it going to happen? Why hasn't it happened? Went to bed, and at 11:50, I went to bed. And the reason I know this is because that's when I checked my email. Or that's when the email had come in and I checked it exactly at that same point. I had a sale for £1,000. And I did that again every single day till the Sunday, implementing what I was doing. So there is, you can have fast results, but that happens when you've built up momentum. And sometimes you've been building momentum without even realising you've been building momentum. So there's no rules that, well, Sarupa, you've probably been doing this for, 25, 30, 40 years, whatever. I'm kind of revealing my age. So therefore, I've got to make sure I've been doing it as long as you know. There isn't, because it's different parts of us. We will be working at different things, and energy will gather momentum. And then sometimes I will go to manifest something that's going to take longer because there's a healing element to it. I've got to go in and resolve other stuff, but it's staying in tune and aligned with the energy, and that's what journaling allows us to do. It keeps the metaphoric glass clean. It keeps our energy clean, and us to be able to see that something needs addressing. It's not just about putting an elastic, you wouldn't get the dirty glass out and then just put a paper towel around it and say to somebody, don't worry about all that lipstick here, I'll just cover it with a bit of paper and then you can drink out of it, which I'm going to drink out of it. You wouldn't do that because the other stuff would still be there. So journaling isn't like a bandaid or a bandage. It's not a kind of let's just cover all this stuff up. It's part of that exploration. So I would love for you to share your insights. I would really, really love for you to share what you've got, because I'm asking you the questions because none of you have given me any questions. So I can only say to myself that means I'm doing a really great job. And if there are bits that you feel are unclear or you want me to just explain a bit more, then please, please, please do ask, because your success is my passion. So this journaling is about keeping yourself fresh, clean, moving, energetically aligned. And there's Janine officially watching. I can see you now. It's come up as a green message. And this is why also on March the 1st, I am going to be launching the 60-day money healing journaling prompts. That wasn't, as I shared yesterday, hi Janine, that wasn't the idea of this 5 days, that this is what is going to be created, this occurred after I did the day one and then spoke to Spirit, who said, this is what we would suggest that you very much look at, and I don't think you can get a more definitive, we would suggest that you do this. So I kind of, that again was quite late in the evening for me on my Monday, and then I kind of went into it, and then yesterday I shared it with people. So we've had Chris and Leslie who have said that they would like to be part of that. It's going to be £69 for 40 days, which is £1 something a day in UK money. It's probably just under $2 a day, just to give you some, currency ideas. And I'm not a currency exchange, so you'd have to Google it. 69 plus VAT for UK people, but it is going to be a really, really phenomenal journey for you, because it's going to build some of the exercises I've been sharing with you. In fact, all of them are like the taster of a certain aspect. There's a next level that allows the story and the energy to not just unfold, but continue building momentum. And there's like yesterday I struggled with which exercise, not because I don't have any, I just was like, there were so many I wanted to that were coming to me to say, this will be the one, no, this will be the one, that'll be the one. So there's a lot to bring together and a lot of magic that can unfold. So if you're enjoying this, then I would get in on that action. We start March the 1st. It's £69. It is super low price for anything for 40 days with me, something that I'm doing, but something that I want to create, something that I want to build momentum for those that have been enjoying this. So let me know in the comments or send me a message, because it's really important that you don't drop your momentum. And that's what happens. Leslie's written something, I think just there, about loving challenges and programs, and Leslie's done a bit of work with me before, but to do those to do challenges and then to stop, actually, unless it was something that you did to see, do I want this, like say it was a Facebook ads challenge, I can say, okay, stop. But when it's something in a work piece, to stop is in some way cheating yourself out of the ongoing growth, unless you've got something else organised. I don't have a link for anything yet, Janine, for it. It's literally just but it birthed on Monday with my conversation with Spirit. I haven't even written anything down very much for it, apart from in my work journal. So as soon as I have anything, I will get it to you. Probably be sort of towards the end of the weekend, or possibly even Monday, that I'll have something very tangible to share on that. But I will, and thank you for offering to share that. So let's come on to today's exercise. Let me just open where I've got it written down. So today's exercise is not using your journal. Now, there's a surprise. There are certain things that I don't feel belong in a journal. And if you do put them in a journal, it's really important that they're not kept in the written form that they were put in. And I will explain, and you will understand why. I want you to, on a piece of paper, any kind of paper, it can be any shape or size, not too small, so whatever your standard size of paper is. It can be recycled paper. You can have letter that you're not needing, just cross it out and use the other side. It's not, we don't have to get prissy about it, but I want you to write down your fears about money, your deepest, darkest fears that you might not ever want anyone to even know, for whatever reasons of shame or embarrassment or whatever. I want you to write them down on that piece of paper. I would suggest that you put your timer on for anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes. I will let you choose that. I'm just going to move the phone, so be careful. You're all going to feel like you're moving on a boat. I want you to... But it's important that you do it on a piece of paper. You can take the piece of paper out of your journal if you want, if it doesn't ruin any of the other pages, because that would be a shame. So I want you to write down what your fears are about money, like you're doing that detox journaling. No stories. Not because, or this is because my childhood, or because my last business didn't work, or my ex ran off with all my money, or, like, I'm not uncaring, but that's not what we want, and that's not the exercise. So what's your fears? I'm not, and some of you have answered the questions when you've joined this group. So fears like that I won't ever be rich, or, it's always going to be a struggle. It's always going to be hard work. It's, I won't be able to buy a new house, buy a dream house, whatever it is. Don't judge yourself for the fears. I don't believe I'm as good as other people. Whatever it is, write them down. Don't get so cathartic that you're trying to dig for something. I'm not asking you to dig deep, or make things up either. So keep it real, keep it moving, keep your pencil, whatever you're using to write, moving on the paper. And then energetically you will feel, right, I've got there. And then check, have I got there, or am I avoiding actually writing down something that I find quite scary? Because sometimes we can tell ourselves, oh, I think I've reached the end of that, I've got there. And we haven't. We've said enough to make ourselves pacified that we're doing the work, but we haven't got to the actual bit that needed to be shared, said, heard, understood. So you have to check in with yourself, and only you can be that vulnerable and honest with yourself. And sometimes it takes a few attempts to get to that stuff, because the protective double, triple layered brick barrier we put around it, because we don't want to go anywhere near it, it is quite hard for us to penetrate, and we've become very masterful at avoiding it. Once you've done that, I want you to put a line across everything. So big X across the paper, not scribbling it out like a kid and being defiant, but just X. You're crossing all of that out. If you have a fireplace or a barbecue and the weather permits, certainly today in London there'll be no home fires on, even in the evening, because it's gorgeous, like a spring day. Is I want you to burn it if you can and safely. Don't try and do the burning in the sink malarkey. I do that, and then every now and then you see these bits of paper floating away. So I don't want to hear of anybody saying, well, I burnt my kitchen down, but I did burn my fears. So be sensible. If you don't have a fire, you don't have a barbecue, or the weather's not permitting and you can't be bothered to light the barbecue or get the barbecue out. I'm not going to get my barbecue out for this exercise. I wouldn't light the barbecue. I could use matches or a lighter in the bowl of the barbecue, but I'm not going to bother, because I'm going to do the next bit, which is I'm going to throw it away. So I rip it into shreds. I do not put this paper into the recycle bin. I know many of us are very eco and green, but this is energy work that you're doing, and that energy, you do not want to recycle it unless you know how to transform it, which is not what I'm talking about today. That would be something that I'd be talking about on the 60-day money healing challenge, money healing journaling challenge, to share other tips and tools and techniques of what to do even in the day once you've done an exercise like this. But that is not what I'm showing. So do not put it in the recycle. You will not be punished by the eco gods, or if they even existed. Put it in the normal bin, because it's your rubbish, it's your illusions, it's your fears that you have dumped, detoxed, however you want to put it, on this piece of paper. You've put a cross across it so it doesn't have a hold, and you're letting it go. Does that mean then that you now have no money fears? It could. Likelihood is you'll bring them all straight back, because they're habitual and they're a pattern. But when you continue with money healing, and you can, and we're doing this through the journaling route, not just doing it through a program route. But my Heal Your Money Patterns program, when it was running, was very much, you would be doing a lot of writing with yourself. It was all about going through the processes and exercises. It's not about learning theory. It's about the energy that you are shifting and changing. When you are allowing yourselves to continue and carry on, you start to resolve, and you start to get more tips and tools and ways of resolving this. But in order to know what you're resolving, you have to name it and you have to understand it. But this is magic. This type of exercise, like all of the journaling for me, is magic. Energy shifts in an instant, in a blink of an eye, in an in and out breath. And this is a really powerful exercise. So write down your money fears on a piece of paper. When you're done, you're done. Check that you're done and that you're not avoiding sharing something with yourself, because you're not showing this to anyone else. It's private and intimate. Put a cross through it. Burn it if you've got the facilities to, not in a way that puts you at risks or breaking the law or anything silly. And if not, which is what I'm going to do, this bit is I'm just going to rip it up and put it in the bin, not the recycle bin, because I'm not recycling that energy unless I have done the energy work to recycle it first, which is not what I'm sharing here. So I don't want people to say, well, I didn't feel like putting it in the normal bin, so I put it in the recycle bin. You don't want to recycle your fears, they'll come back. So there we have today's exercise and today's little bit of journaling magic. We have one day left tomorrow. It's the final day. I'm loving sharing this all with you. I'm loving listening to, reading your comments. So keep them coming. Remember to answer those questions that I asked at the beginning. What are you learning? What have you learned? Now, Leslie's already shared, what's your ahas? What insights are you getting about yourself? And share that, because today was Q&A on Valentine's Day, but you guys haven't got any questions. So I've decided to take over and give you the questions. So that's it. That's me done for today. I'm sending you so much love. It's Valentine's Day. If you don't like any of that commercialism, it doesn't matter. You can love yourself every day and grow that love every day. It's an ongoing growing target, like moving target of expansion that just keeps growing and growing and growing. And the fact that you're doing this Money Healing Journaling Challenge is an act of self-love. So you congratulate yourself, pause for a moment, congratulate yourself. And I will catch you in the group, as well as obviously tomorrow, 12. Let's get as many people to the live as possible tomorrow, because it is the final one for this challenge. But for now, I am sending you lots of love, lots of happiness for the rest of your Thursday.